Why do some games just get boring all of a sudden, even if there's lots of things to do in them? Let's talk about that for a minute. Welcome back to another episode of Thinking Outside of the Hitbox, when we just take a walk in nature and talk about game-related stuff. My name is Thomas, but you can also call me Rocker. I stream on Twitch and I'm trying to grow a YouTube channel now as well. Today we're gonna talk about why some games just gets boring all of a sudden. A game you've spent days, weeks, years even playing, all of a sudden starts to feel like a chore, and for some reason you just don't feel like playing it anymore. There are of course many reasons for why we play games and why we stop playing games. And these reasons that I'm gonna bring up is the main thing that I have found out with myself why I stopped playing games. Games that I've spent hundreds or even thousands of hours in. And I also think that these reasons that I'm gonna bring up is the main reason why a lot of these forever games is kind of losing their player base. Why games like, let's say, World of Warcraft is getting less and less played, why people stop liking it. They have forgotten about this basic principle when you make a game. And this reason might be a big cliche, but I think there's more meat to this bone than what the dogs of gaming give it credit for. And that reason is, it's all about the journey, not the destination. In other words, the goals you have when you're playing a game. Okay, so this might sound obvious at first, but hear me out on this one, okay? I have played a lot of grindy games throughout my days. Games like Valheim, World of Warcraft, Diablo II, Ragnarok Online, and the list goes on and on. I will mostly be using these games as examples in this video as well, but I think this principle applies to like almost every game. And when I have played these games, it has always been the goals in the games that make me stop playing. Because either I ran out of them, or they felt unobtainable. And it's not that the games are bad or anything. The opposite. Some of these games are the best games I've played in my entire life. But you need to have goals in the games that you play. You need a reason to log in. Because if you have no reason to play the game, why should you play it at all? I thought I should try and break down these goals that I speak of, that I think of, and see if we can get a better understanding of what I mean with this video. I believe we have two different types of goals in games. Let's call them developer goals and personal goals. Let's start talking about developer goals. And as it sounds, this is basically the goals that the developer has put in the game for you. It's the main game. It is defeating Baal on hell difficulty if you're playing Diablo II. It is getting to level 60 in World of Warcraft and clear the last raid. It is killing Ganondorf at the end of every Zelda game. So these are basically the goals, the challenges, the drive that you have to play the game that the developers have put in the game for you. And these are most likely gonna be your biggest drive to play a game. Basically, you want to finish the game. Man, I just have to check so I don't have any ticks. Oh man, we have ticks here. I hate ticks. Let's have a look up here. Let's go up here for a second. And then we have your personal goals. I also have to watch my step here. And by personal goals, I mean sometimes you set goals for yourself in a game. And those goals could be something like, if you're gearing up a character in Diablo II, you want to deck it out with the best in slot gear, with like perfect stats and everything. That is not required to finish the game, but it could be a personal goal that you have. It could be something like finishing a mount collection in World of Warcraft, or getting a certain eye level, or finishing a Mythic Plus on a certain level. Not required by the game, but it's like, It's a challenge that you make for yourself. It can be to build a Mona Lisa in Minecraft, or do a hitless run in Hollow Knight, or become the world champion speedrunner in Factorio. Hey Derek. These are what I call your personal goals, and they're basically just limited by your imagination. These goals are never required to finish the game, but you have your own personal reasons for it. And because of this will vary a lot as well. Even though most of the times we have pretty common personal goals. It feels like the communities by themselves are kind of creating these goals and give people a reason to keep playing a game. So let's say mount collection is in World of Warcraft. Collecting mounts is something that a lot of people universally think is a fun thing, and it feels like there's a little prestige of having a lot of mounts in the game as well. So it's kind of community driven, even if it's only personal as well. And I also think that these personal goals, to be honest, is a pretty beautiful thing, because it's basically us gamers creating our own reasons why we should keep playing a game that we maybe shouldn't keep playing. We're trying to keep something alive. But this is my point. We need reasons to keep playing games. Just having a lot of things to do in games is not enough unless there's a goal you're actually striving towards. So I actually noticed this when I was playing Valheim. I've played through Valheim, I think 3 times now or something. Yeah, I think 3 times. And it's been the same thing every time. I love Valheim. I've spent almost 500 hours playing Valheim. It is one of my favorite games. I think it's so freaking good. But you know what happened? When I played it my first time, I don't remember the name of the patch, but I think it was basically the start of the game. Like, we had 5 biomes, and at the end of each biome there's a boss. And of course you gear up, you upgrade, you collect. It's a survival game. If you haven't played Valheim, you should. It's one of the best games I have ever played in my life. But basically, when I killed the last boss of the game, I think I never logged in again. Until a new patch with new content released. And I love Valheim. It is so much fun. But I've noticed this in so many games as well. But in Valheim particularly, I noticed that when I had killed the last boss, when Jagluth was dead, I think his name was, the big skeleton dude, I just had no drive whatsoever to log into the game again and play. My drive completely disappeared. And I had still things I could do. I could upgrade my base more, I could build my house better, I couldn't get better gear, because having fully upgraded gear was one of my goals that I had when playing the game. So I did the big grind to get all the material to base, just to upgrade my gear fully and like be as strong as possible before fighting off the bosses. So in every biome I did that. Every new tier of gear, I just didn't go with like the required stuff. I went full on. I got everything before I went for the boss, because it was a personal goal I had made for myself, that I want my gear fully upgraded before I go. So I had a goal to kill the bosses, I had a goal to upgrade my gear, and I think these were my main checkboxes that I had with like my goals in the game. And when those were checked, I had no reason to log in anymore. Like, the goals in the game were done. I had no reason to log in. It was done. And I mean, it's not a bad thing that a game is done. You should finish games. But I know some games are more like forever games. Games like World of Warcraft and stuff like that. So there were still things left to do in the game, but my list of goals were done. Like, I had checked all my boxes. Like, everything I wanted to do, I had done. Oh, fuck me. A bird just scared the shit out of me. Like, just having a lot of things to do in the game was not enough to compel me to keep playing. Just like upgrading my house and like doing all these things around wasn't enough to keep me playing. Of course, this can be personal goals for other people. Some people love building in this game, and I can totally see that like building this majestic house could be one of the goals that you have set for yourself. But building was not really my thing. I thought it was fun to build a little bit, like to make a decent working house. But the building part by itself only was not enough to keep me playing. And I think this is the problem that a lot of games have. Like, it feels like there is content to do, but there are no reasons to do the content. So when the last boss is dead in a game, like, a lot of people lose interest in the game. They don't want to do all the things you can do. I know that like achievements and stuff is a way to kind of make goals. A lot of people are achievement hunters. They want to platinum trophies and stuff, and which is a good thing, I think. It keeps the game alive to do more, to do replays. But it would be fun if developers could figure out more ways to actually make the content interesting to go through. I think some games does this way better than others, but so there's optional content to do that is actually really, really fun. And I think as long as you have a reason to do something, the journey to do it will actually be fun, even if it's tedious, like grinds. I'm actually a big supporter of having grindy games. I think it's actually a good thing if the grind is for a good purpose. So just imagine, let's say, Final Fantasy VII. I know a lot of people love Final Fantasy VII. Some think it's the best game they've ever played. It's up there for me as well. I'm just looking at... Sorry for... We're trying to... There. No, so Final Fantasy VII is one of the best games I've ever played. To be honest, I think one of an even better game, I think, is actually Final Fantasy X. There's a lot of split. The camps are split in the Final Fantasy, which is the best Final Fantasy game. But I think, for me at least, 10 takes the top spot. Close by 7. 9 is also good. Holy shit, we need to... I've gotten myself into a pickle here. Oof, shit. Ah. Let's see if we can sit down here for a moment without getting eaten by... Oh, I don't want to sit on this log. Yeah. And there's fucking flies everywhere. Let's just stand there a little. So what I'm getting at is Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy X made really smart grinds for the game. If you think of it, so when you finish Final Fantasy VII, there are still things to do that you want to do. And in my mind, when you have a reason to do something, the grind or the journey there becomes fun. When you have a goal that you're working towards, the journey there becomes fun. So in FF7 then, you had the weapons you had to kill. Basically 4 weapons spawned in the world, and fighting them was hard. It was really hard. Ruby weapon, Emerald weapon, I don't remember. Ultima weapon, he was the easiest one, I think. And I don't remember the name of the last one. Sapphire maybe, I think it was blue. But fighting these dudes, you couldn't just go... You couldn't be hitting for 2000 damage and go kill them. You had to level up. You had to do like 9999 damage. You had to do 10k damage every hit and have the best spells and have the best gear in order to fight fair with these weapons. Like they were strong as hell. And I think leveling up with the goal of killing these weapons, actually just grinding levels, finding more items and doing all of this made it fun. Like the grind became fun because the goal that you had to kill the weapons made it fun. Final Fantasy X, the same thing. You can defeat the last boss in Final Fantasy X and everything is hunky-dory. But there's also the Dark Aeons that you can kill. Like the beefed up, really hard versions of the Aeons that you have. And same thing there. If you just go about your game, you can finish it doing 2000 damage at the end of the game, and that is enough to kill the last boss. 2, 3, 4, 5,000 damage each hit. If you want to kill these bastards, you need to hit for 100,000 every hit. Like, you need to level up that sphere grid. You need to get the weapons. You need to get the break damage limit weapons. You need to get the armors. You need to get the potion. Like, in order to fight fair with these guys, you need to max out your characters. And for me, I think I spent, this was like back in the day when I was playing, when I had it on PlayStation 2, 700 years ago. I think I spent 250 hours in that game. Of course, some of that was probably just AFK idling in the middle of the, like, just going to have dinner or forgetting the game on, but I think my save file said 250 hours, which for me back then was a lot. And I think that is also the reason why I love that game so much. Like, these goals that I had in that game pushed me to play it more, and by defeating these hard bosses, these hard challenges that was presented, these goals I had in the game made me love the game even more. It has a great story, it has great gameplay. I think it's one of the best games ever made, the turn-based system they have in FF10. But you see the goals I had in the game, the goals they presented me with, and the ones that I made for myself, made me enjoy the game so much more. And those 250 hours spent in the game, of course, some of it was probably tedious while doing it. But thinking back of it, it was probably some of the best time I've ever spent in my life. Getting strong enough to defeat the challenges. And another game that I think is struggling right now with the goals in the games is actually retail World of Warcraft. And this is the game that has, by far, consumed most of my game time throughout my life. And I stopped playing this game 2-3 years ago. For the same reason that I stopped playing Valheim. I felt like I had run out of things to do in the game. So there's almost infinite stuff you can do in the game. But none of the stuff that you could do in the game felt like they were progressing towards my goals. And to be honest, I have no idea how the player base is in retail World of Warcraft now. I just remember that when I quit the game, the towns were echoing. Like, it was so... There were no one there. It was NPCs that was walking around. Like, they add NPCs in the towns to make them feel more alive, because no one is there anymore. I mean, if that doesn't say something... And it's funny to see that World of Warcraft Classic actually seems to be more popular than what retail is. And to be honest, I think this also has to do with the goals in the game. The goals that you have in Classic WoW are so many more than the goals that you have in retail WoW. So my WoW journey started, I think it was 2004 or 5. It was in the early days, at least, of vanilla. And back then, you had so many goals in the game that you had to do. So you had to level to max level. That took several weeks back then. you had to get good gear so you could start running dungeons from like doing a shit ton of quests. You wanted to run these dungeons. Like you wanted to start running dungeons to get even better gear. But you knew to start running these dungeons, you needed the gear to start getting the gear. So then you started running dungeons to get the gear so you could raid. And this took several weeks as well. And then eventually you started raiding, and this also was like your goal with the raid you were playing back then. When you started in Sulgurub, you played Sulgurub to get the gear so you could start raiding Molten Core. And when you played Molten Core, you tried to get the gear so you could start playing Blackwing Lair. Like, you always had a goal that I need to play this in order to do this. Like, you had a goal with why you were playing. And there were even long quest chains to attune yourself. Like, you couldn't even enter the raids unless you had done a long quest chain with a lot of stuff to do. So there were always stuff to do. Like, you had so much to do. The problem back then was not that you didn't have enough to do. It was finding time to do it all. And you really wanted to do everything in the game. And this is probably one of the reasons why World of Warcraft is was one of the most played games in the world. Like, it was one of the biggest games. Didn't it? I think it peaked with like 12 million players or something in Wrath of the Lich King, but I don't know what it is now. I can't imagine it's close to that, but who knows. And strangely enough, 20 years later now, when they re-released the classic experience, it is more popular than retail is. If you just go to Twitch, look at the streamers playing World of Warcraft, you will see that the majority of people are playing classic. And I can't imagine that the player base is any different. Retail have unfortunately missed that the journey to get what you need is what makes the trip fun, not the actual reward. The time it takes to get to these goals is part of the fun. You need to spend this time working towards your goal for the reward to feel rewarding. And I think that is what is missing in retail WoW. That is the thing that the developers have forgotten about when they have evolved the game throughout the years. That a glass of water tastes so much better when you're thirsty. Oof. I got a mosquito bite on my foot. God damn it. God damn these woods. Oh, a bird. Whee! Look at what I put myself through for you guys. I could do this at my computer as well, but hey. Nice fresh air, right? But yeah, no, so I think you need resistance in a game to make it feel rewarding. You need to have these goals to work towards. Just like, I think a challenge is just as good as a grind, to be honest. So if you look at, in World of Warcraft, they had a thing called the Mage Tower, which was a really hard challenge that pushed your character to the limits, basically. And I think that was universally really loved. A lot of people thought it was super fun to like have a challenge, something to grind at, to eventually conquer, if that makes sense. Look at just all the Souls games. Like, you have no difficulty setting, which I think is a good thing. And they are hard. For the average player, they are really hard. Like, it takes time to kill these bosses. But when you do, it's one of the best feelings ever. And I think that is the reason why those games have become so popular. They have actually taken... So, they have taken the challenge, the goals. Every boss in that game is basically a challenge and a goal. So every time you kill a boss, you want to play the next boss. You want the next challenge. You need the next thing. And I think that is why they're so successful as well. I will make another video when I talk more about the Dark Souls games and I think what they have done for the gaming community overall. But no, I think they have revolutionized gaming more than people might think. But Retail WoW has gone a different route now to like keep you playing. This has basically always been their strategy, but I think it has evolved over time into the abomination that it is today. The developers have tricked themselves that it's more about the reward than the actual journey. So instead of doing like a fun grind or a challenge to get what you need, they have basically just locked everything behind a weekly timer. So you kind of do have a goal with the stuff that you need in the game, but you can only get one every week, or even a half every week. So if you're running a raid, you can only do it once a week, and if you need these sparks that you needed to create weapons with your blacksmithing, you only get half a week, and you need 2 sparks to make a weapon. So basically 4 weeks to make a month to make one item in the game. This currency you need to upgrade your gear. You get like, I don't know how much you need in total, but let's say it's over 9,000, and you get 750 each week. And I mean, it kind of was like this back in the day as well, but it wasn't like this with everything. So they took this philosophy and applied it to everything. They thought, if we just give you like crumbs every week, eventually you have a cookie. But what they created instead of so these goals that you have, you get tired of waiting for these goals and you do something else. That is why I stopped playing. And also, you will level up your character from 0 to max level in like 1 or 2 days. That took weeks before. So like, they just take a, and also if you even, I think if you buy the game, you get a free level boost to max level. I know you get that when you buy expansions. I think maybe as well when you buy the game. And I mean, that is basically the developers just pressing the delete button on one of the big goals to reach max level. Like, they just straight up delete that goal. You're already max level. That's one less thing to do in the game, right? So I don't know. I can make a full-on video on only World of Warcraft and what the developers have done wrong with the game. But we'll keep that for a separate video if anyone is interested. Let me know in the comments. They have made a format where only the latest 8 dungeons and a raid is the only relevant content. So if a new player comes, there is actually content for, like, there's so much content and you only get to experience a few % of what they have created. It's a stupid way to make a game. And it has become, that is also why it's losing players now. Me personally, remember that I think WoW peaked in vanilla and actually in Burning Crusade. Burning Crusade was just like vanilla on steroids, I think. It was really fun. I had a really good time in Burning Crusade. It could be my rose-tinted goggles, but I remember when Wrath of the Lich King came out that I thought they made too many shortcuts, and like when the grinds disappeared, it became a little bit too easy. When there were no attunements with the raids and everything, like they pressed delete on so much content, basically. Unfortunately as well. What the developers have gone from was that you had so many goals in the game. Like, you had 20, 30 goals you were trying to achieve at the same time. You had a hard time finding time to do all these goals. Like, there were so much to do, and you always felt like you could progress and work towards something when you were playing. And they reduced that into a small checklist every week that you need to get your spark, you need to do at least 1 dungeon, and you should maybe do a raid. And like, when those things are checked, then that you can basically do in 1 day, the first day when you have the weekly reset, you do that, and like, you're kind of done for the week. Like, there's still more stuff you can do, but there's no goals that push you towards doing it. So you can do it, but why should you? Unless you have like your own personal goal that, oh, I want every achievement in the game, or I want this and that. But like, there's fewer of those people than there are that quit the game, I think. And it's funny, when you stop playing the game, you start seeing out, like when you're in the bubble, it's kind of hard to look out. But when you step out of the bubble and you look at the game from afar, like it is pretty crazy that actually people still playing. When I find it crazy, at least. I really hope, like, World of Warcraft has been one of the best games I've ever played in my life. I had so much fun. I've met so many friends, and I've met great communities. But unfortunately, the game by itself is not good enough for me to play now. So I didn't mean to do a deep dive into World of Warcraft, but here we are. And so let's talk about the next game I was thinking of that actually did it right. And it is kind of the same thing in this game that I have in Valheim, which is Diablo II. I am old enough to have played Diablo II when it was popular, when it came out in like '99 or something. I used to play this. I remember sitting up during the nights with a 56k dial-up modem, playing Diablo II with my Java son. I still play Diablo 2 today. I think the remaster they have done in that game is fantastic. It is one of the best, like, it is so much fun. I play Diablo 2, and I always have two goals when I play Diablo 2. So the first goal is killing Baal on hell difficulty solo or with a friend, but like not getting boosted through, not trying to get like trade gear to get stronger to make it. Like, the challenge for me, my goal when I play Diablo 2 for the first time, is the developer goal, which is basically kill the last boss on the highest difficulty. That is done pretty quick. Like, Diablo 2 is not a very hard game. It's pretty easy. Some things are hard. I think it's more about knowing what spec you should have than actual gameplay is being hard. But it is really fun. I enjoy it a lot when I play it. My second goal that I have in the game is always, when I have killed Baal on the highest difficulty, I want to level up my character to around like level 90 plus. Usually 93 because of in-game mechanics with crafting. And then try and get the best in slot gear for this character. And when I play Diablo 2, like on the ladder resets, I usually play on the ladder resets. But when I start playing, I play like a religious zealot. Like, I cannot stop playing because I have the goals of like getting the gear. I kill bosses. It's just random loot dropping everywhere. When you kill a boss, random stuff drops. There is somewhat, basically, a monster's item level. An item cannot drop that is higher than the monster's level. So in the best and the hardest to get gear drop from the hardest areas, because they have the highest level on the monsters. But there's a lot of good stuff can drop throughout the game as well. On hell difficulty, basically from start to finish of the game, like GG items can drop. And it's really fun because I don't know why, but when I have these goals in front of me that I can get more stuff, I can work towards my goals, I have no problem killing the same boss over and over and over 100 times in a row. I don't know why. I think the drive is still that you have the goal that you want to have these best in slot items on your character. If I find these items, I can trade them, and eventually I get the best in slot items. And the funny thing is, the same with Valheim as in Diablo 2. I can play Diablo 2 for like 12 hours a day for weeks. And when I get a full best in slot gear character, I almost stop playing on the day. But I'm happy about it. It's fun. And eventually the ladder resets, and maybe I try another character. So instead of like doing a whirlwind barbarian, I make a Javason, or I make a mosaic assassin, or like I have never made a druid, so next time I will most likely make a druid, just to see if I can make a best in slot strong druid. Like, it's fun. So there's still so much things, even if it's the same content over and over, because I have the goals to try new stuff and get stronger. I still enjoy playing the game. It is still fun for me. I still feel like I'm getting value for my time spent and my money, because I am working towards something I want to work towards. The only one problem that I think Diablo 2 has, or it has a few problems. It's like a almost 30-year-old game. But one of them is, and they have improved this now in the remastered, that there's kind of few places to go and do stuff. So since all the best gear and the most experience drops from the highest level monsters, of course the last dungeons then and the last areas is going to be the best areas to be farming in, right? They did add a splendid feature. Like, it is so fucking smart. It is so good. So the low level areas throughout, there's 5 acts in the game, and Act 1 of course is the lowest, with a few exceptions. There are some like side dungeons that actually have higher level monsters, but that's not important. Basically, Act 1 lowest level, Act 2 get a little higher, 3 higher, 4 even higher, 5 the highest. The end of 4 is just as high as 5. Either way, they made something called terror zones. So every hour, the one zone in the game, not an act, but like one zone in one act, gets terrorized and basically scales with your level. So if you're a high level and you go to a terror zone, you can farm, like, that zone is going to be just as good farming in as the last zone in the game, which is so much fun. Like, you get so much more variety. They're reusing the old stuff, and you still feel like not wasting your time if you're killing stuff in that area, because you know that when this zone is terrorized now, I can still work towards my goals here. The stuff I do, actually, those are kind of the best zones to be playing in right now. I only wish there were more stuff like that you had more variety that you could do, because these zones change every 1 hour. So it feels like if you get a shitty zone, like the RNG of the elemental immunities of the monsters in the zone is bad or something, you can struggle with some characters, and like, it's not the end of the world, but it could be better. So it has some drawbacks, it sure does. But overall, I think it's probably the best Diablo game ever made. I did play Diablo 3. I enjoyed that for a bit. Until one patch. So this is Blizzard. They did this with World of Warcraft as well. So in one patch in Diablo 3, they decided that in order to help people... So, sorry if I'm all over the place now. In Diablo 3, you're running rifts, lesser rifts and greater rifts. And it feels like, and these rifts scale indefinitely. They can go as high as, like, there's no limit to how high they can go. And what basically happened then was, people thought that clearing the highest level rift they could possibly do is the reason we play the game. That is the only reason we play the game. They don't know that. I think most people actually don't know that getting the gear, getting to the point of when you can run these high level rifts, is actually what makes the game fun. For me, at least. I might be totally wrong about this as well, just so you know. This is just my personal experience. But I noticed, I was playing Diablo 3. It was a season reset. I started playing again. I got a monk to max level. I don't remember the name of the set, but when I dinged max level, I was gifted the best set in the game, which is basically maybe 80% of your gear, I think. You need like weapons and maybe 1 or 2, 3 more items. I don't even remember, it was so long ago I played. But like this full set that I got that was the best set in the game just made like this grind to get all these items, like finding these things are what makes the game fun, and they just gave it to you straight away. And I was like, okay, so now I'm starting to one-shot stuff. I can start like a Greater Rift 100 straight away. I don't need to work towards my goal of getting gear, just gone. And Diablo 2 is just like, it has one goal, and that is just getting gear. That is what the game is all about. And they just removed it by giving you the best gear straight away. I don't think I played 1 week after I got that set, because after that I had no goals. My goal to play the game was get gear. And they just like, here, you want to have goals in the game? Ah, too bad, here's the best in slot gear. So basically, Blizzard said that we are giving you the best in slot sets, so you can start clearing the high level rifts faster. But they really missed out that the biggest reason why at least I played the game was the grind to get the gear in the first place. Running the same rift over and over and over, and when it goes from 223 to 224, like wow. Oh, and when you clear that, it's 225. Oh, and then it's 200. Like when there's no end to it, you have no goal, because you will never be done. And like when you have no goal, why play the game at all? Of course, some people make it their personal goal to maybe clear the highest rift in the world or something like that. But we're talking about 0.001% of players here that has the time, the effort, the skill, and like the drive to actually do that. So why do you make content for such a small fraction of players when you could make content for the 99.9% of players that also love the game? It is beyond stupid. And so this is basically what they have done with the Mythic Plus in World of Warcraft as well. Put a fucking cap on it. Make it scale into like, I don't know what, before when I played it went to over 20-30. Now I think they nerfed it, so you do Mythic Plus like 10 or 15 or something. That is pretty high. But like, make a cap, let's say 10. And for those people that want to keep playing the game and like be the best of the best, just make a freaking timer as well. Just give them a timer, so then they can see who can clear this dungeon the fastest. And the people that actually want to play the game for fun and not just see how high they can go, they can feel like they have a goal to clear every dungeon on the highest level. Like, I think that will bring more people to play the Mythic Plus than the way it's structured today. Also, just fucking make one key work in every dungeon. Why do you have one key for one dungeon? It's so stupid. And I have one more game I want to talk about that I think did it really right. This is a very, very old game called Ragnarok Online. I don't think many people have played it. It's a Korean MMO that is super grindy. It is like really, really grindy. It was a really grindy game, but it was really grindy in a good way. So in Ragnarok Online, you always had really, really big goals. Like your first goal when you start off as a novice. You're basically a child. And you level up to level 10, which is equal to, I guess, becoming like a teenager in the game. And at level 10, you get your first job. You get to pick what you want to be. So you don't choose a class at the beginning. Your class is your job that you pick when you ding level 10. So you can become like a swordsman or an acolyte, let's say. And you play through the game as a swordsman until you reach level 40. At level 40 then, you evolve your swordsman into either a crusader or a knight. So there you get to choose again. So if your goal is to make a paladin in the end, you start off with a swordsman, and as the novice you always have the goal to become level 10 first, to level up and get your first swordsman class. Then you want to become the crusader, at level 40. And then at level 99, you actually rebirth into like a... You rebirth, I don't remember what it was called. It was like rebirthed or something. You start over at 1 again, and then you become like a high swordsman, and then you become like a paladin instead of a crusader when you reach 40 again. And every time you get more and more spells and like more advanced shit. And for some reason I had such a good time leveling and playing this game. Also, all the items that was dropping in the game, it had a 0.01% chance of dropping. Like every item in the game, almost, all the good stuff, had a 0.01% chance of dropping. Though you were killing hordes of enemies. So, but it took time. There weren't any like, oh, this quest will give you this and that. And like, no, it's like you have to kill enemies. You might get lucky and find it early, but you have to put in the work to get what you need. And if you're lucky as well, you could find stuff that other people need, and you trade so you get what you need. And it's kind of the same as in Diablo 2. I wanted to get my character high level, the highest class you can become, with the best gear, and the gear should be upgraded high. Actually, now that I think about it, I think Ragnarok Online is the closest game to Lost Ark that I have played. Like, if I were to make Ragnarok Online today, it would probably be Lost Ark, if you took away the pay to win and added and if you took away the pay to win and the caps of stuff you can get every week, so you could keep grinding to get what you want, then Lost Ark would probably be Ragnarok. I ran out of battery in my camera. I had to run home. And get a new battery. So if I'm a little winded now, it's because I'm fat and I just ran. Basically. Where was I? Where were we? We were talking about Ragnarok Online, how it was a grindy game, and that it's very much like Lost Ark would have been today. Either way, I think Ragnarok Online was one of the best games I've ever played as well. It has a specific aesthetic, but the grindy gameplay, the thing that you always felt like you had a reason to play, you always had a goal, whether it was grinding for gear, grinding for levels, trying to advance your job, selling stuff. It always felt like you were working towards something. Like, every hour you spent in the game was spent working towards something. Of course, I sat around in that game as well, just like I did in World of Warcraft. You sit in the cities and do nothing. You run laps around the city. But for some reason, it felt less. It felt like I did it less in that game, and I can't even count how many hours I've been sitting doing nothing in World of Warcraft. All in all, even though it was a very grindy game, and I think that level of grindiness is not for everyone, I think they still had a point. Like, it felt like no matter if you played much or not, the point was that when you were playing the game, you were always advancing and getting stronger and better. You were always working towards a goal, which unfortunately a lot of games have forgotten today. That, like, the grind, I think, to be honest, I think still a lot of people play that game. And I know there were so many pirated servers as well for Ragnarok Online. Like, people love that game, and I think they still play it. A lot of people still play it. And I think that this is where the developers trick themselves. I don't think that they maybe know that they're doing it all of the time. Maybe some do, maybe some don't. But I think developers trick themselves that if you make something that, how do you say? I think the developers tricked themselves into thinking that if we make something more convenient for the player, they will automatically think it's better. More convenient usually equals better, right? But in this case it doesn't. I don't think it's bad with convenience. I think convenience to some degree is good. Convenience has its place in games, but convenience is not like taking away the grind and the work and the challenge of getting a reward. Because that grind, the work that you put in, or the challenge, that like the work you put in to overcome the challenge, that is the reward. Like when you kill the boss that you've been struggling on for a few hours or something, when you kill the boss that you've been struggling on for a while, like it is so much more rewarding. Like we said before, water tastes better if you're thirsty. When you're working towards something, you feel you're improving, and eventually you kill this boss. That feeling is hard to beat. That is why I play games. I started playing games now on the hardest difficulty almost all of the time. Not trying to brag, I'm not good at games. Like, I think I'm better than the average person. But the average is actually really low, if you think about it. But I'm definitely not a top player. But I do really enjoy dying a lot in games nowadays, because it gets me the feeling of progression. Every boss that I'm fighting is basically a goal I'm working towards, because it's hard. When you just go to every boss, you one-shot them every time. Sometimes, some games, it works. I think a game, let's say like The Last of Us, doesn't need to have super challenging bosses, even if it's good as well. Like, the story is carrying that game so much, so it doesn't matter if the bosses die every time the first time you face them, because you're not playing The Last of Us to get the challenge out of the game. You're playing The Last of Us to unravel the story of what is happening, because it has freaking peak writing. It is one of the best games I've ever played. I think this is what the developers have to think about. And if any developer is watching this, remember that don't be too nice to the player. Like, make stuff convenient, but don't be nice to the player. Actually letting a player suffer a little bit. Maybe this might people might think I'm crazy to say this, but I think actually letting the player suffer a bit, at least in the game, is a good thing. Dying a few times in a game is a good thing. There's a reason why we don't have permadeath when we play the games. It is so we can die and we can try again. It's the same in real life. If you fail, you get up and you try again. And the thing is, the second time you do the thing you failed on, most likely you will do it a little better. You might fail again, and you get up and you try again. And by the third time, you know what? Maybe you did it right then. So those two failures that you had before made you a better person at what you're doing. And you feel that you worked towards something. So don't be afraid to fail. It is the best and the most rewarding thing you can do. So a failure is actually a win, because you learn something from it. So, and this is the thing, like with all this convenience that the developers give us now, imagine, like let's just turn this up to a ridiculous level. Let's take World of Warcraft's instant boost to max level. Why I think that is a bad thing. Like, imagine, let's make this ridiculous. You have an NES, the old Nintendo Entertainment System. You put in Super Mario Brothers, and you start up the game. You have the starting screen. You press one player, and at the first box that you jump, a pipe spawns. You go into the pipe, and you come next to Bowser. And you hit him on the head, Or you hit that goddamn axe that is behind him, the bridge falls, and you save Princess Peach. Spoiler alert, that was Super Mario Bros. 1. Stupid fly. So, would that be a good game? It's super convenient, right? Because we skipped every level that I've made in the game. Every challenge, every obstacle, we just skipped it, right? Isn't that like peak gaming? You just start the game, jump down a pipe, you kill the last boss and you're done? No. That would be a dog shit game. They wouldn't even release it because it's too dog shit. Let's take the same example in Mega Man. In Mega Man, you have to kill 8 bosses in order to get their weapons and power up. And at the end of the game you get to the Wily stages, where you have to go through the Wily stages, and if you do not have these weapons, it is really, really hard. It's doable, but it's really, really hard. God damn it. So imagine you start the game, you have the 8 bosses around, you see all like, but then you have a button in the middle, and if you press that, a nuke goes off. You kill all the 8 bosses, you get their power up straight away. The first 2 Wily stages as well, they're done. And then when you get to the last boss, you have all the weapons, and let's have a big flashing icon as well what his weakness is. So you just stand there, you choose that weapon, you shoot him dead, and like you're done. That would also be a dog shit game. Who would play that? So how come people are okay with it in games like World of Warcraft and other games, and not in these games? And I know there's the argument that like I want to play with my friends and whatnot, and I buy that. Like you want to get on the level of your friend so you can play together. But isn't it better if your friend makes a new character then and play through the game with you, instead of you just missing out on the entire experience of playing the game? If your friend is on the last level of Super Mario and just have to kill Bowser, and you figure, you know what, let's play 2-player. Wouldn't it be more fun if you and your friend actually started the game from the beginning then, and played through every level, instead of you jumping in on the last level and you just kill Bowser and you're done? I don't know, in my mind, it's not even a question. So it really rubs me the wrong way why games have started doing this approach. But like, just imagine if the games worked like this. They would fail faster than Concord. So what I want to say with this video is that the journey to reach your goal is what makes it fun. And as soon as the developers can really grasp this reality, I think we will have some amazing games. This is something that has been bugging me for a while, and I've been wanting to make a video about it for quite some time now, and I'm happy that I have finally gotten there. And if you made it to this point in the video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. It is I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, would you mind pressing the like button then? I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel to make more videos like this. So by giving it a like and leaving a comment, you will help spread this video so more people see it and I can grow my channel a little bit. Also, don't forget to press the subscribe button so you don't miss out when I release the next video. So everyone, thank you so much, and I will see you on the next episode of Thinking Outside of the Hitbox. Bye!